Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the principle that Jay Ram has taught us, the 3 ways to grow a business, and we're going to change this to 3 ways to grow your real estate business. All right? So Jay taught me these principles years and years ago. No one was teaching anything like this. In fact, Jay's taught most every mentor that I've ever paid money to in the real estate industry. He's the guy that taught them. So we're going to break this down to how can we apply this to your own business. So sometimes when you think about it, it doesn't matter whether you're doing 500 transactions right now. In fact, if you're doing 500 transactions right now, this is going to make you a lot of money because the zeros just get bigger on the opportunity side of things. And sometimes we get that, like Jay says, that tunnel vision instead of funnel vision. So we're going to break this down into some different ideas in the real estate industry, how to get, increase the number of transactions that you're already doing. How do we increase the unit of sale? So in terms of the average sale, the commission that you typically get, how do we increase the unit of sale? And then we're going to talk a little bit about one of the more challenging ones, which is increase the frequency of purchase, which in real estate, when you apply this principle, it's a little bit more challenging, right? You're not going to get somebody to buy a house every 3 months from you like you might be able to do at a Walgreens. So this principle does apply, though. I think you'll be surprised at what we come up with. So we're going to go ahead and write some of these things down. So let's first start with, I'm going to grab a different color marker just to change it up a bit. We're going to talk about more clients. So this is the easiest one. This is the one we typically think of first, right? Well, how do I do more deals? If I knew how to do that, I would be doing it already, right? So let me show you a few ways to kind of apply this and you'll get an idea. So referral systems. So we all know that we should be getting referrals, but when you look at the opportunity to grow your business, and if you looked at what Jay Abraham showed us, it was like 10%, 10%, 10% across each of these was 33% growth. That's a pretty significant number, right? So, not much more than that. If you take it at 20%, 20%, 20%, we're getting to 66% or better. And you can easily see how just a little bit of growth in each of these areas, and you could literally double your business pretty easily. So we're going to look at all the different things that maybe are underutilized opportunities, assets that are maybe overlooked, and different ways of looking at your business. When it came to referral systems, I remember sitting in the room and Jay asked me the question. He asked the whole room the question. He said, how many of you have ever received a referral? Everybody's hand goes up. He said, how many of you have more than one system in place that's automatically generating you a consistent flow of ready to act, approved, top quality, target customer, clients for you, and in place running right now? And one person raised their hand for one system, and they said 2 systems, and a couple of hands. Everybody's hands go down, right? So when you look at your business, how many referral systems do you have in place in your business? Do you have systems in place for generating referrals? So this may be a huge opportunity. So a mistake I was making as I was selling 530 homes a year, I had never touched base with my clients again, because what I didn't realize, because when you look at this third one, when we get to it here in a little bit, is you think about, well, I sold them a house. I mean, what more is there I can do, right? I earned my commission. So that's true. However, that's true. They are going to come back to you sometimes 3 years, 5 years, 7 years down the road. And once you've been in this business a while, I promise you're going to wish you'd stayed in touch with all those people, like I didn't. So when I went back from the event that I went to with Jay, I started looking at how could I put systems in place. And what I learned was not only are these people referring us business anyways, even if you don't stay in touch with them, because they love you and they want to refer you business, but I wasn't staying in touch with them. I wasn't getting the most out of that relationship. And most agents don't follow up at all with their past clients, so client retention becomes a challenge. But referral systems is one easy way to get a steady flow of consistent clients in place. So if you have a bunch of people, if you sell 10 houses in the next month, then those 10 people could all send you a referral this year. What would happen to your business next year? So it's a pretty good way. It's just one simple way you can look at doing more transactions, right? Okay, so let's look at a couple other ways. So the second thing we're going to look at is let's look at when the business, through risk reversal. So that's number 2. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So risk reversal. So I remember I was getting beat by an agent, a really good agent actually, one of the top agents in the country. And I used to go on appointments, and I finally get an appointment with him. I was chasing expireds and FSBOs and everything else, and obviously those should be on this list, FSBO expired. But I was chasing this business, and I would go out on the deal, and they would lower their commission, and they would beat me on the appointment, and it drove me freaking bananas. I hate it when real estate agents lower their commission, because I believe that we're worth what we charge, and we should be, paid what we're worth. So, and risk reversal, one thing that you can do is say, listen, unfortunately, I'm not going to drop my commission to 4% like the other agent's going to do. But what I will do is I guarantee you I'll sell your home at the asking price or above, or we can, I'll charge you nothing, or we can take it out of my commission. So there's ways you can use risk reversal. Now, how good of a deal is that? So listen, we're going to sell it at the asking price, or you pay me nothing. So and this is a principle Jay's going to talk about a lot more. I'll talk about a lot more. Mike will talk about a lot more. But risk reversal, there's ways that you can win the listing or win the buyer 100% of the time. When you assume all of the risk and they assume none of the risk, you're going to win the deal. So if you put a system in place for risk reversal, you're going to win more of the buyers you talk to on the phone, more of the buyers that you present to, more of the sellers that you talk to on the phone, more of the sellers that you present to. You're going to win more of those listings, which is going to in turn increase the number of transactions. So using the principle of risk reversal, you can actually do more deals. So this one's an obvious one. It's marketing. I mean, obviously, this is something. Well, yeah, Jay. Of course, if I knew how to market, I would be doing that already. But when it comes down to this, we're going to get into this way deeper into the course that we're doing with Jay, and also we're going to get into this in a lot more detail in terms of some other opportunities we have to share with you on how to increase your marketing. But if you're not spending money to grow your business, name a business that doesn't have some type of marketing in place. So it's something you should be doing. It's something you should have a consistent flow of new business coming from your marketing efforts. And we're going to teach more on that, but this is another way, obviously, of growing the business. So the fourth way, let's look at, telemarketing. Well, we might call this prospecting, but in other businesses, I'll never forget, Jay Abraham said, you know what, any of the businesses in the room use telemarketing. And then one guy's hand stayed up the whole time he was asking these questions, and 100% of the business that they had came from telemarketing. That's all they did. They didn't have a referral source, they didn't have any other sources, but 100% came from telemarketing. What can you learn, adapt, adopt, and apply from a company that's doing nothing but telemarketing? And so when you look at that other business, you're like, how in the world are they doing that with telemarketing? They built their whole business on telemarketing. How can we apply that back to the real estate industry and apply it to your business? So when it comes to telemarketing, it could be calling around the open houses. It could be calling around your for sale by owner, or a recent sale, or a recent company sale, or having what I like to do, and what you do once you get to a higher level in your business, when you're doing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 transactions, is you hire telemarketers to make the calls, build the relationships, build your database for you, and generate leads and opportunities and appointments by calling and trying to find hidden opportunities in particular neighborhoods around a sale that maybe that you've made or whatever. But you don't have to do these calls. And when you know how to grow your business, and once you get to a certain level and you're making a certain amount of money, you don't have to be the telemarketer. Okay, you can hire a telemarketer, which is awesome. So that's actually the preferred way to do it, because I don't like to make calls. If you ask Mike, he would tell you he likes to make the calls. So the fifth way we're going to talk about, let's see here. We got special events. We got let's do special events. All right, so special events. So this is something that you may or may not have thought about before. When it comes to doing special events, I would say you could do open house on steroids, which is something that we teach, is a way to put out a whole bunch of signs, drive 200. We had as many 100 actually in Lawton, which is pretty impressive for Lawton. I've heard of much larger numbers than 100, but over 100 people attend an open house. That's a special event. You can do buyer seminars, seller seminars. There's all kinds of ways you can do special events, use special events to acquire new customers, people that don't already know, like, and trust you. So that's another one that we can do. Let's see here. We can do, all right, acquire list, develop USP. Let's see, acquire, before I forget these. I like this one, and develop USP. Okay, so acquire list. So one thing that we did in my marketplace was we had an agent that had been around for 100 years, I would say. How many agents do you have in your office that are 100 years old? Like if you really look at them, you're like, they have to be at least 100 years old, right? I had 2 or 3 agents in my office when I was with Coldwell Banker that I'm pretty sure they were 112. Just old as can be, and I knew they had to retire, but they just never would retire. Are you kidding me? So what happens when they do retire? So good news is I got along real well with these ladies. They were really super sweet, and they had a hard time with technology, so they tend to lean on me for questions. But a cool way to acquire a list of potential clients is, what are they going to do when they retire? If you're lucky, they have that list somewhere, and if you can help them get that list, you can acquire a list from an agent that's retiring or recently retired or quit or moved or whatever, and build relationships with that list. Use her testimonial. If she has happy past clients, you can acquire that list. There you go. There's some new clients that you can work with. Number 7, develop a USP. We're going to get into this more in terms of a little bit later, but the USP, what is your unique selling proposition? What is the reason that people should call you in the first place? So you have to have a compelling reason. If I asked you, why should I hire you above your number 1 competitor or doing something else, anything else at all on my own, why should I hire you? And if you don't have an answer for that when you're talking to a buyer or seller, if you just can improve that, which actually this leads to the next one, which is increased selling skills. All right. We can help you with all this. This is huge. Once you have a USP, increasing your selling skills is just going to get you more. If you talk to 10 people and you sell 2 now, if we can get you to 4, what happens? You do more deals, right? So it's pretty simple. Now, if you're a large team and you have a bunch of agents on your team and you're building a team, and you can get if you're not, either you're training your agents or you're not training your agents. Either they are saying the right things on the phone or they're not saying the right things on the phone. So if you're spending all this money on lead gen and your agents aren't being trained properly, then could you increase their selling skills and also increase that number? Absolutely. So it doesn't look like just so far, and I'm sure there's a couple more I can come up with. I'll give you a couple of easy ones. Automated follow-up. And this was a big one, right? We suck at follow-up. I did. I don't know about you, but if you're really good at follow-up with long-term follow-up, then you're better than I am, because this is a challenge for us, right? So if you get a system that automatically follows up with your clients and stays in touch with your past clients for you, we use Infusionsoft for that. And we use Leads Today for that. Those are the 2 systems that we're using, but you can use any system. Commissions Inc. for buyers is another one. There's a lot of different systems that are out there. We can help you with recommending the ones that we like, or do your research. But there's plenty of systems out there that'll do the follow-up, so you don't have to do it for you. Making sure that those systems are in place and working to optimum. And if they are, you're going to generate more deals from that, right? So the last one is PR. This one's always overlooked. And actually, this is something that Barbara Corcoran, if you know Barbara Corcoran from the Shark Tank, we met her just recently. And when we were talking to her, she was breaking down how she basically sold her company for $60 million. Was when she was a nobody, she basically was sending PR updates to market reports, which is actually ironically the same thing I started doing when I got in the business. Market studies on the market to the station, to the TV stations in town. And they actually quoted her on a celebrity, and she ended up becoming the celebrity real estate agent, that's working with celebrities. And she would write reports like, what things, I can't remember who the example was, but say Val Kilmer or some actor, or it was Madonna is who it was. So, she was doing things like, what Madonna would be looking for in a home, right? Or in a condo, because that's what she bought or whatever, that's what it should be. So there's this report. And so all of a sudden the media started assuming that all these celebrities were buying from Barbara Corcoran. So they were quoting her in the media all the time. And what happens from that? She ends up getting Richard Gere, and he buys a house from her, and then all of a sudden now she is the actual celebrity the celebrity real estate agent. Ends up selling her company for $60 million. How about that, right? So this is free. Everything you do, you should always make sure you're taking advantage of. Send it to the newspaper, send it to the TV station, send the press releases to the radio station. This is an easy way to get out there and get public awareness of people knowing who you are. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to transaction size. I think we can agree based on the first one, there's no doubt that we could probably grow our business when it comes to more transactions. There's a multitude of things here that you're probably not, you may be doing, but you're probably not doing to optimum that could easily increase the business that you're currently doing. Now let's look at this is unit of sale. So how do we sell, I don't want to sell more houses, right? I don't have any more time in the day. How do I just make more per transaction? Well, we'll show you how we did that. So being from Lawton, Oklahoma, and having a business in Lawton, and we also have a business here in Frisco, Texas, which is where we're at here today. And it ain't easy to sell when the average sale price when I got in the business was like $70,000 or $73,000. Showing my age, if you can see real close, there's some gray in here and some gray up here. Real estate will do that to you. But when it comes to being in Lawton, there wasn't a whole lot of things I could do. And the average sale price now is $135,000, but it's still nothing like what it is here in Frisco, $300,000. Your average sale price could be more. But one thing that I learned from Mike that he did really well was what Mike did was he was in a market where the average sale price was probably about $130,000, $150,000, which is called the Colony. He moved to Frisco where the average sale price was $300,000. So what happened? So what he did is he moved markets with a higher sales price. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do. The other thing you can do is you can just start targeting higher average sale price with your marketing. You may or may not have control over this, but the people you hang out with are going to know people that hang out with them that are going to be similar. So your sphere of influence, the type of people you surround yourself with, is going to help you determine whether you're getting the type of referrals you want or the type of referrals you don't want. So moving markets, that may sound like a lot. Mike moved offices; it was 3 miles, and the difference in average sale price was from 130-something thousand or 140,000 or whatever it was to 300,000. So when you do the average commission, that's a huge number. Number 3, I'm going to go ahead and give you this. What is your split with your broker? Your brokers are probably going to turn this off right now, but this would be great training to show your agents if I didn't do that, right? So if you're a broker, I apologize. We can give you an edited version of this. So this is split with broker. It's obvious. If you're doing a bunch of deals, you can increase your split with the broker wherever you're at, brokerage. You certainly are going to make more per transaction. So if you're giving away money here and you're generating the business and you're doing it on your own, you might want to look at that and consider that. Another way to do that is a transaction fee. That's probably the number one thing you could do tomorrow that's going to make you the most money. So when you're doing 500 something deals and you don't have a transaction fee times 495, you're gonna end up with a whole bunch of money. Do the math on that, whatever it is per month. It was 20 something thousand plus every single month that we make just from transaction fees. All right, so the next one is, let's see. All right, we've got higher sale price. You split with a broker. Okay, vendor relationships. This is another obvious one. So I became frustrated when looking at this because I didn't have another market to go to and couldn't really increase my average sales price. So I could charge more money, but I wasn't real sure if that was really the direction I wanted to go. So vendor relationships. Ask this question: who all benefits when you sell a home, right? Who else benefits? Mortgage. So you got mortgage. You got title company. Who else? You have what? An inspector gets to inspect it. You got appraisers. You got a survey company. You got, in our state, you have an attorney. Furniture store, maybe. Furniture store benefit if somebody buys a house? Absolutely, you bet they do. There's 70% of people that buy a home buy furniture within the first next 6 months. So all of these different relationships that you could have. What we did was we went back and we actually joint ventured with a title company and joint ventured with a mortgage company. So every time I sold a house, I didn't just make the commission. I made the money on the title and I made the money on the mortgage. We just had to disclose it. That's all you got to do. Insurance is another big one, right? So the insurance guy, who's your insurance agent? So when people that know, like, and trust us do business with us, we go through all the trouble of finding a good insurance agent, finding a good inspector, finding a good appraiser, finding all these good people that do great work, house cleaner, finding a good handyman, electrician. If you find a good plumber ever, and I don't know where, no matter where you're at, if you can find a good plumber, you are a miracle worker, because there's no such thing. I've never seen a good plumber. They're all terrible. They all never take care of your client. They don't get it, and it's always been a pain, it's always been a thorn in our side in my marketplace. So there is one good plumbing company. They are expensive, but we're always looking for kind of the best deal kind of thing. So I have to give a shout out to Pippin Plumbing, because they are pretty bad to the bone, but they're expensive. They're the most expensive. So it's a challenge. Heat and air guys. How many people contractors, all this stuff, we make these relationships. We weed out all the people that are no good, and we find the great people, and then it's like Angie's List, right? Everybody, you can go to Angie's List and hopefully find somebody that's a great and has good reviews, or let me show you who is going to feel absolutely the outside pressure of, if I give you a client to do business with, they're going to do a good job for you as a client, because I'm going to send them multiple deals every year. So if they're doing multiple deals every year from you, guess what that means? That means that you're making them a bunch of money. Every time you earn a new client, they make more money. So that's a huge opportunity for you to create revenue streams and joint venture relationships with, and increase. Every time you do a deal, you get paid. Not RESPA approved, see your attorney. There is a right way to do this and a wrong way to do that. Have to disclose that. But don't be impossibility minded, be possibility minded. My attorney used to write me a check for advertising every single month. So, all right, so there's probably a couple more here. Develop and upsell. So develop and upsell is another way to do that. An upsell could be a number of things. So you could also bundle on the front end. So let me give you an example of an upsell. So, and really the upsell could be the bundle on the front end, actually. But develop an upsell would be, if somebody lists their home with you, you could upsell them into a package of services that included staging. And that's another way to, bundling services is a little bit different. So I'm going to say these two are really interconnected here. And if you list a house, what do we know to be what's best for the client? What's best for the client is that they stage the house, they spruce up the landscaping in the front, and that they get a home inspection now so the buyer doesn't kill the deal. If you bundle those services, you can offer that up front, and you can earn a percentage of that for putting the deal together. So you can make more money on the front end, and that's one way to do it. So an upsell, it would be something similar to that. There's something you could probably do as an upsell after you sell the client, and after they move, you could upsell something. I'm sure there's ways. Think about it. You'll probably come up with some better ideas than we did. But these are just some of the ways that we've actually applied these principles. Now let's move over to the last one. All right, so this one is a little bit trickier. All right, so I'm just going to put them underneath this one. So increase the frequency of purchase. How do we get them to do business more often? Right. So real quickly, I'll give you an analogy. A frequency of purchase. If you look at it from like Walgreens' perspective, when Walgreens, you may or may not remember this, but when Walgreens was in the middle of the block, they all of a sudden, everywhere in the country, started buying the corners, and they started moving, and this is actually in the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, and they moved all the Walgreens over to corners. And there's a reason that they did that. They actually had the ease of entrance on a corner. They had more access, so they had more ways for people to get into the store, which brought in more new customers, and also brought in more frequently customers could come in as well. It was easier for them to get in. They had more access points, more customers, more new customers. People would come back because it was easier to get into. And another way that they did that was a very interesting concept called the drop off your photos here. So if you remember, and still even to this day, even though nobody really probably does it as much anymore, the photos that you drop off, what happens? You come back to get your photos. Well, they knew that you spend $38 every time you go into Walgreens, and that if you had to drop off your photos, even though they don't make anything on the photos, that they're able to make money when you come back in and buy $38 worth of stuff when you come get your photos. So they're able to drop off and pick up. So it's one more way for you to come back. So what Walgreens' goal is how do I get you to come back and do more business more frequently, right? So, challenging, right? Like, because people in real estate aren't going to buy another house, right, next month. But what you can do is you could focus on people who are multiple transactions. You can do people that are builders. There's a bunch of these. Builders, REO, investors, referral companies. Although I don't like paying those high commission transaction fees, right? I mean, 28, 38, 35, 38% if you're Cardis. If you're Cardis and you're watching this, you're robbing us. But at any rate, so you see, I'm a little passionate about that. Builders, REO, these people are doing multiple deals. So if you have one client that only does one deal, but you can have 2 or 3 clients that do multiple deals, you can increase the frequency of purchase and focus on some of that in terms of your business. So, okay, so here's a couple of other things that you could do. Develop a back end. So one thing you could do is, if you sell somebody a house, you could offer, you know, a lawn mowing package for your kids so you can go mow their yards. A lawn service. There's all kinds of things, right? Any kind of services business, anything you want to do, you could do after the sale for home ownership experience, whatever you want to do. So that's a little bit of a sketchy one, I'll admit. Another one that you could do would be, retention. And referral system, which is kind of what we talked about before, but just focusing on the repeat. So your top clients, what systems do you have in place to stay top of mind with your top clients and getting those people to come back when it is time to sell? So we talked about that a little bit. And the more clients, the same things you might be doing with past clients to get to referrals are the same things that you would probably be doing to get them to do retention. So that has a dual impact on the overall 3 ways to grow your business model.